On this edition of FedGov Today with Francis Rose, the race is on to make you whole after the shutdown.
We know that they are working to get people their pay and benefits as quickly as they can, and that's an administration-wide priority that OMB is leading.
Jim Kaplan of the TSP on FedGov Today in just a moment. First, though, you'll learn how technology is changing the way the U.S. military and its allies and partners defend the Indo-Pacific region on the new Innovation in Government TV show. Innovation in Government from TechNet Indo-Pacific's available on demand now, with leaders from the military and industry detailing advances in sensing, edge computing, AI, and operating in disconnected environments. You can watch the show on the FedGov Today YouTube channel anytime, and it's available on our website at fedgovtoday.com. Loans from thrift savings plan accounts are up since the shutdown started, according to the Federal Retirement Thrift Investment Board. Now that the shutdown's over, some of those borrowers want to pay back their loans right away. Jim Kaplan's Director of External Affairs for the TSP. Jim, welcome. It's great to see you again. I understand where somebody thinks, well, we don't know how long the shutdown's going to go, and I want to make sure that I have a pad. Now that the shutdown's over, some folks, as I mentioned, are saying, well, I don't need the pad now, and I want to put that money back. What's the process for handling loans? What kind of questions are you getting on the call lines about loans? What's going on around TSP loans right now? Welcome, Jim.
Thank you. Thank you, Francis. So yes, we did see an increase in volume over our standard October for loans from TSP accounts. It's important to remember that people are borrowing money from themselves and paying it back at an interest rate equivalent to their G fund growth, so that they're still continuing to grow their retirement accounts. But there's no restriction on your ability to repay immediately. You can, if you find you have the resources, pay your loan as soon as you like. There's no pre-penalty because you're just paying to yourself. What is generally being done if people take no other action, though, is that we're re-amortizing the loan depending on the situation of the loan. So there's a legal limit to how long you can take a loan for. It's 15 years if it's for a residential purpose and 5 for a general loan. If your loan was less than 5 years and you missed 2 or 3 payments, we're going to add 2 or 3 payments to the end of the loan. So if it was scheduled to end in February, now it may be scheduled to end in March or April. The payment level will remain the same. You'll just make those payments up. We don't take those out of the paycheck when you get a particularly large paycheck. We don't know your situation. We just take it at the regular pay period time and add it on. If, in fact, your loan was due to expire right at the end of the IRS time limit for how long a loan can last, we will take those missed payments and re-amortize them and spread them over the remaining payments you have in your loan to make sure, again, that you make your legal payments. But all of that will be done automatically by the thrift savings plan. So people who took out a loan and are continuing to repay it will just continue to repay it. And people always have the option to pay it off earlier and to close out their loan. Right now, people can have up to 2 loans out of their TSP account. If they have a separate military account, they can also have 2 loans there. The total for that 4 loans is either the balance of how much they have in their accounts or $50,000 or some other calculations. There's limits on what they can take out of their retirement accounts, but very few people reach those limits. So we're here to make sure that the loans that they have taken are being processed and moving forward.
Do you have a sense of what kinds of questions the people are asking when they call the call center?
Well, the call volume was up. During October, one of our busier months on our ThriftLine phone centers, but satisfaction remained high in the 90s and answering times was pretty quick, so we're pleased with that. The questions were mostly about process. How quickly does this happen? How much does this cost? Can I repay the loans? The types of questions you yourself are asking are the type people want. And of course, there's information right on the TSP's webpage at www.tsp.gov that explains loans and repayments and the limits around them.
We'll put a link to the TSP website on the show page like we always do. How are you handling situations where people didn't get paid during the shutdown, got matching contributions from their agencies? What's the catch-up opportunity for people when they get their lump sum to catch them up from the pay that they missed during the shutdown?
Certainly. So we have started receiving those large payments from the federal agencies, and they send over the match. Now, most people have a match that say, 5% is the default match because that's what you get with your federal match. So if you are holding up 5%, if your regular paycheck was $1,000 per pay period, 5% went in. So if you got a paycheck that was for $3,000, 5% of $3,000 will go in. So those numbers will be made whole in that regards. Now, each individual agency has to determine how they're going to send that over, when they're going to send that over. And when we receive it, we'll deposit that. So we're working with the federal agencies. I've been on calls with the payroll officers to make sure that we receive those files and that everything is placed into people's accounts.
All of those things are happening, though, it sounds like, in a completely automated fashion so that the individual participant doesn't have to do anything on their own.
That's correct. And if they have a question like, why was, I looked at my most recent paycheck and I don't see the TSP contribution yet. Those are all things that we receive from payroll offices. So that's something you should contact your individual agency out of to make sure that they're taking care of it in an appropriate time. I know many agencies are working to adjust with the end of the shutdown to meet the needs and to make sure that folks have the resources they need to pay their daily bills as quickly as possible.
I'm going to guess based on that response that the answer to this question is it depends, but do you have a sense of what the timeline is for people to get all of these moving parts kind of nailed down and start to feel like they're back to normal?
You're right. It does depend. Again, I was on a call as recently as yesterday with payroll representatives going through the process. They'd already started sending us over files. They were telling us that additional files were coming today. So we know that they are working to get people their pay and benefits as quickly as they can. And that's an administration-wide priority that OMB is leading.
Is there are there any other deadlines or calendar moments that people need to pay attention to that might have gotten pushed as a result of the shutdown? Any kind of unintended consequences of the fact that the government was closed even though you all were open?
Again, I would take a look at where their loans were. If they were reaching the end of that 5 years, they may find themselves with a lump sum due here at that time. But for the most part, we set it up so that we can handle the loans automatically. We can handle the higher volume of calls we received and withdrawals, hardship withdrawals. Here at the end of the year, we do have the required minimum distribution requirement that's required for everybody with retirement plans that's over a certain age, usually about 73, and is retired and separated from service. But even those, we take care to handle those automatically, which is unlike some of the other retirement plans out there. If you have a certain level you have to reach that you have to take out of your plan, if you've been taking regular withdrawals from your to meet your regular expenses, and they don't meet your required minimum distribution for the year, we will send you a check for the difference of that automatically. If you haven't been taking anything because you have the resources that you don't need to take out of your TSP account during this year, even though you've retired, we'll still help you meet that complete required minimum distribution. So we're working through that process as well here at the end of the year. And then there's a lot as the year starts that we can talk about more in the future about the changes that will come in 2026.
We'll look forward to connecting on that in December, and I'm grateful for your time as always, my friend. Thanks for joining me today.
Glad to help. Glad to be out there and supporting our participants and beneficiaries.
You can read more about the TSP on today's show page at fedgovtoday.com. The FedGov Today podcast is back Tuesday. You follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, on the FedGov Today YouTube channel, or on demand at fedgovtoday.com. FedGov Today TV this Sunday features the outgoing CIO at the FCC, Alan Hill, and the former head of the Chief Data Officers Council, Ted Kauk. That's Sunday morning at 10:30 on ABC7 in Washington and simulcast on the FedGov Today YouTube channel all around the world. I'm Francis Rose. I'll talk to you Tuesday. Thanks for listening.